Hello, this is Wyatt Cash from Scoop News Group, and we're talking with Frank Lancaster from Checkpoint Software Technologies. Thank you for joining us, Frank, and we're excited to have you be part of the IBM ThinkGov 2020 digital event experience.
And thank you, Wyatt, and the Scoop News Group for having us. We're thrilled to be here, part of this event.
So, Frank, how has a multi-cloud portfolio approach to IT helped accelerate digital transformation in government from your perspective?
Right, so Checkpoint being a security vendor, we do work with a lot of government agencies, and specifically I work with the integrator community, so we do see a lot of end customers here. And multi-cloud, it's very transformative, and we're in the new normal here with times. Wyatt, you and I talked just a bit before the interview about how it is working from home here, and certainly multi-cloud has facilitated that. It's very transformative. What I think with multi-cloud is it drives competition, right? There are features and functionality that are native to certain cloud vendors that others don't have, right? So it drives their value proposition. And with that, it drives competition, which certainly drives down price. But also there's a tool set that is designed to work in a multi-cloud environment, several different ones that are brought to bear, and my company Checkpoint certainly participates in that. If you think of things like orchestration and automation tools across multiple cloud, you hear Ansible, Terraform, those data sets like Docker or Rocket, these containers and serverless functions that need to span multiple cloud instantiations. At Checkpoint, we offer a posture management platform that works across multi-public clouds, right? And these things do things like just-in-time privilege escalation and degradation, checking to see that all assets are within compliance and in the governance that you've set forth. As this new world of multi-cloud is it's here to stay. So.
Well, terrific. And how would you say that automated workflow applications have also transformed the delivery of digital services in government?
Right. Again, as a vendor, we see that everywhere, and the new norm, right, is now a DevOps, or what we try to do is make sure to keep the Sec and DevSecOps. As government is reengineering these monolithic legacy applications, they're working and moving toward and shifting left toward a native cloud application, and so what we are seeing and what we're enforcing is that with this, I mentioned before posture management, but with that, as the CI/CD pipeline is moving along, there needs to be code inspection, both statically when the code is there, and also dynamically once it's compiled and in a kind of production environment. So we like to see that, and then tools to secure the application that's once it's in the production environment, like the modern day WAF or web application firewall. There are new tools that look at this, because the modern day web application isn't sitting behind the old perimeter with this big stack of security features. These features have to be brought to the new perimeter, which is everywhere, we contend. And also what we're seeing is that hardened templates are really part of this workflow, and that we encourage that. So you really beat up the template in the lab and in the sandbox, so to speak, before you bring it to the production environment, and then you automate and replicate.
Well, as you speak to government security officials, what would you say are the top two priorities that you're hearing for protecting government data more securely?
Yeah, we have in some of our slide decks a big slide that I like to point out, and a lot of government customers trust Gartner, and they go to those guys for news and analysis. And one of the things that's, I think, significant, they say, is that through 2020, 95% of cloud breaches are the result of human error, right? So two things to your question are, and I'm driving this home, is posture management, because it takes the human element out of it. It's continuously scrubbing and analyzing things like privileges, so escalating and de-escalating, continuous asset checks, as these DevOps teams are spinning up things, you know, you need to have a rein on these guys, because if they expose part of their area to the internet, it laterally, it could expose your whole infrastructure, right? So this constant evaluation of the assets. Compliance, we have NIST standards, HIPAA, PCI, whatever it is in your organization, things can go in and out of compliance based on what individuals are doing. So posture management's a big thing. And the second one is just good old fashioned cyber hygiene, right? So password discipline, are they complex and non-repeated? Are you using multi-factor authentication? Good old cyber training, right? Are your folks educated and aware that phishing is still alive and well, and that's it speaks to some of the more basic needs inside of in our inner person. You know, with the pandemic now, there's lots of domains being stood up with, you know, with trying to get the money that the government has set aside and the like, you know. So also backups, you know, perform backups. All this falls under the cyber hygiene piece. You know, ransomware encrypts things, so if you have good backups, you can fall back instead of paying the bad actors. You know, and just keeping your signatures, be they IPS or antivirus, up to date, so that you're catching all the known malware, and certainly having a good high fidelity product in there that catches your 0-day stuff.
Well, and finally, what's one of the key IT lessons that you think we might all take away from this pandemic from a government's perspective?
Well, you know, nowadays in government, you hear a lot with zero trust. It's a big word. NIST put out some guidance. It's 800-207 is a draft guidance that NIST put out on it. But basically it means trust, there's no implied trust, right? So trust is situational. Privileges need to align themselves with that. So to your question, cloud elastic services worked very well. They're here to stay. The pandemic brought lots of people from the hardened infrastructure, brick and mortar, to their home, and new guidance that the government issued on things like TIC 3.0 and allowing different sorts of access to government public cloud platforms worked very well, this elastic nature. So the key message is that, and that the new security border is everywhere, and mobile security is a key attack vector. You need to stay very vigilant on that as well, and use these high fidelity tools that are out there to protect your mobile BYOD devices. And that, you know, good old fashioned phishing and cyber hygiene is what you need to be aware of.
Well, Frank Lancaster, thank you so much for joining us at the IBM ThinkGov 2020 digital event experience. Appreciate your being here.
Thank you, Wyatt.